You're watching SKST Radio.
Well, welcome to another episode of SKST Radio, and you tuned into the Kami Grayson Show, and today is Small Business Network, and I have a new friend with me. She goes by the name of Olivia Ellsmore. Hi,
Olivia, welcome. Hi, Kami. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Oh, so you are like just this beautiful little thing I've ever seen over there.
Well, thank you.
And I hear you're a Texas girl too.
Texas, yes, not born and raised, but I've lived in South Texas for about 20 years now.
Wow. Well, that's good because I'm a Texas girl, so I just gotta
yes,
brag
gotta
on
that out.
Okay, so tell people who you are and what you do.
Sure. So my name is Olivia, and I am the owner and CEO of Calm Minds Matter. So this is a service and a business that is dedicated to helping women really I'm just going to say this in a very, I think, succinct way, which is to help them live a life and create a life that they don't want to escape from. So this is ultimately done by helping people remember and reclaim who they are. So this can be people that maybe, have you ever had this, at any time in your life, have you ever had this moment where you can't necessarily put your finger on it, but something just doesn't feel right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes. I think that that's often a common situation that I come across where, sometimes it's met with feelings of a lot of anxiety or depression, or often enough panic attacks, which are just this symptom of something like this misalignment within.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with people that are just coming to me saying, there's something that is just not right, and I don't know what it is, we go through a process of really trying to clarify and work through the details of, okay, what is it that is off? And, starting to kind of find out what's underneath of that. And so I work with a lot of people that are sort of in that situation. It can be in your profession or your career or in your relationship or whatever it is. But ultimately getting to a place where there is the courage to do something different and live differently so that you can feel in alignment with who you are. So the other piece of that is there are a lot of people that already know, I know what I want to do with my life, but I am really scared to make that jump to do that, right? Because of whether it's worry about external factors, opinions, maybe what they were raised to believe that they should or shouldn't be doing, or maybe it's just internal. What if I fail?
Yeah.
What if that doesn't work out for me?
Yeah.
Then what? So this is ultimately what I do. I bring people together. So I work with people individually, and then I also bring people together to find that community of like-minded people who are also on this path of, I want to live the life that I know feels right for me, and I want to feel good in my life. I don't want to be riddled with anxiety. I don't want to just trudge through the day getting to the weekend, right? Just sort of that constant trying to get over the day, right? Actually living and enjoying life for what? Yes, exactly. Right. Like actually being passionate about what you're doing. Right. And there's, this is very nuanced and all the things, but I think just ultimately that piece of it, right? Because we have this one life to live. So let's not waste it. Right. Let's find a way to enjoy it and actually feel like we are able to be authentic and live authentically.
Well, so you know what? That brings up an interesting factor. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to do something that you really love, right? But what if it doesn't? What if your hobby, I want to say, is not financially stable. It's not enough to sustain you in your life. So, but you, like you said, you're ready to go, you're ready to make that move, but you're not financially there. So then you're kind of stuck. And then there goes the anxiety, the panic attacks. And it's kind of like, I don't want to be there, but I want to be here. But how do you handle something like that?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, because I know finances comes up a lot, especially with the way things are right now. Everything's really expensive and unstable. So I think, so one of the big areas of focus that I work with my clients on is balance, right? And that's not just work-life balance, that's also internal balance. And when I say that, what I mean is, we're very thinking dominant. Like we always want to analyze everything and just try and figure everything out from this space, when there's so much information that is contained within the body, right? And so it's helping balance the thinking, the feeling, the like the energetic piece, your imagination, using your imagination in a way that's productive instead of thinking of worst case scenario and everything.
Right.
Oh, right. That comes up a lot. And so, you don't have to jump off a cliff, right? You can take baby steps. Like the whole point of all of this is, okay, what path am I on? Is the
Right.
path I'm on leading me to where I would like to be, or is the path leading me in a direction that's not where I would like to be, right? And so really breaking things down into baby steps so that you have this knowing that you're always working towards the direction that you want to be in, the ideal sort of life. It's not going to happen overnight,
Right.
but you're building, you're exploring, you're curious about what is ultimately coming up for you that's limiting you. It's like this opportunity to really get to know who you are internally, right? What limitations am I putting on myself to prevent me from going in the direction I want to go, or become who I want to become, or live the life I want to live, right? Because maybe fully embodying your hobby is going to be enough for you to feel really fulfilled in your life, right? Because
Right.
we don't, I think it's going to be very person specific, right? So it depends, like everybody has a unique situation in life. And I think we just have to take a look at all of that and make a plan that makes sense for you so that you can thrive while still moving in the direction and that you want to be going and continuing to grow as a human.
Wow. So how do people find your particular style of business? How do you find your customers?
So I do a lot of work on Facebook, and then I also just have a web page that people just are searching for holistic support, coaching. I do get a lot of, so I also do the yoga side of things. So that was my entry into the work that I do. So I have people that are seeking out mind body balance support, right? So I'll have clients that come to me for that, and then it kind of just expands into the other things. So I have a lot of different local and virtual offerings that I do that I market out to different channels.
Okay. Well, so now you have a beautiful family, but by the picture that's behind us, beautiful family. And so how do you handle work balance?
That's a really good question. So what I find is that as long as I am prioritizing myself, right? And when I say that I think there's a lot of this mentality in our society that it's like being selfish is not a good thing, right? But when I say that, what I mean is, am I honoring what is right for me in any given moment, right?
Right.
Am I doing the work I want to be doing? Am I, while I'm doing a lot of things for my kids, what is happening internally for me? Am I supporting myself in a positive way, or am I going down in a different direction, right? So just paying attention to the balance without, which is often very challenging. When I say without, I mean externally. It's often very challenging because I have 3 children. They have a lot of needs and a lot of demands, and I'm, as a parent, here to support them in that. So finding time for myself within a day, always having some period of time that I can recharge, whether that's doing yoga, whether that's sitting in the morning very early for a few minutes just to have time to myself, or in the evening, right? So just always finding a little bit of time to recharge, and then on a consistent basis, internally checking in with myself with what's going on in terms of my self-talk, in terms of just, am I breathing?
Right.
Am I breathing shallowly or am I breathing deeply? Right. A lot of deep breaths are necessary when small. So I think that's why I really push this concept of balance, because if you think about it in a much broader context, it's so beneficial to every aspect of your life.
Wonderful. It's amazing because people usually get caught up in the rat race, right? And they don't realize that they really do have to take care of themselves.
Yes.
And so self-care is very important. And I think what you're doing is very, very important and much needed. And so I am glad that we have people like you out there to kind of help balance other people, because sometimes you don't see it, you don't recognize it. And you do get anxiety, and you do get, it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? People shut down. Now you see people are killing themselves because they don't know which direction to go into. And so
and I thank you for saying that, Kami. I think I really appreciate that. And I think that there's a tendency to feel alone in the world, right? Especially after COVID and all the isolation and just sort of reintegrating, who am I? What does this mean? What do it's been a big deal, right?
Yes.
So for everybody, so helping people understand that they're not alone. I think a lot of people I work with have always felt kind of weird because they don't meet the status quo, right? But there are so many people out there who are wanting to be, or are already very dedicated to their growth, to their desire to honor what is calling them or what feels right for them, even if it's not in alignment with what the systems say or what is external to them, right? It's just all about this: who am I? What do I need to be doing to feel good within myself and in the world?
Yeah. This is another thing that I thought about too when you were saying that. Now you have good people and you have the bad people. You have some people that makes them feel better about themselves to downgrade someone else. And then that person is constantly with that person, regardless to whatever that situation may be. It could be their pastor, their mother, it could be their boss, their coworkers. I guess I want to say sort of bullying is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing a lot of that, and I'm kind of whipping out there. You got to stay firm. You got to stay true to who you are, and not let what someone else say to you affect you, because it ultimately it's really them.
Yes.
So, but I don't know if I'm saying the right thing.
No, you are saying it exactly correct. Yes. So part of the tools and the practices and the education is helping people learn that, right? Because a lot of us are programmed to care what other people think, right? We just live in this very competitive, comparison-based society, right? So that is true. Anything that any reaction or action that somebody has nothing to do with you and everything about them. Right. And so that is a really important thing to start learning and eventually believing, right? Because it takes time, right? Because we want to make everything, we want to make it about ourselves, right? But part of that process is, yes, understanding and learning who you are, and learning that you have to take responsibility for yourself.
Yes.
Just like ideally everybody else would, right? But that's, we don't have no control over what anybody else is doing, right? Exactly. Yes. So I think that's a really important point to make. And I think also to understand that, so the inner critic is a really important piece that I work with a lot with people. Is like, if you have somebody that's highly critical, and this is a lot of times what we fear is the rejection or like the disapproval of somebody about what we're doing, right? Especially like in a work setting, right? Is anybody that is highly critical is generally going to be very, very highly critical of themselves, right? So again, it's about them, right? And it's the same thing for yourself. If you find yourself wanting to judge or criticize other people just, starting to look within and understand, like, okay, why am I, in what ways do I judge myself? Right. And what is the purpose of that? And how can I heal that? Is it serving me in my best self or in the person that I would like to be? Or is it maybe getting in the way? Right. Because we like to be so hard on ourselves. Right. I think especially as moms and women, but I think everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about that. Yeah. Is that the person that I want to be? No, that's not the person I want to be. So you kind of want to look at yourself first before you project on others. And so, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of it. I mean, it's just all over. It's just snowballing. It's just so much that's going on in the world today. So let me ask you this question, though. How did you get started doing this type of work?
So some of the things that I've mentioned definitely apply to myself. So I grew up always feeling a little different from my family, the things that I was being told that I should be wanting to do, or, all of the things. So I was always kind of like, my mother always called me the funky child, which was her way of describing the fact that I was kind of different. And it wasn't even, when I say that, I at a very young age, traditional gender roles, I was like, this isn't right. I would call that out. Like, this can't be, and so even that, there was that piece of it. And then I have always tried to, or always felt the call within to follow my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I lived abroad for a number of years because I knew that I didn't want to sit in an office my whole life. And so anyway, it was just this trajectory of just kind of pushing against the grain. And when I was living it, always feeling off in it, working the 9 to 5 and these things in an office setting. I worked in academia for a long time, which was just not a good fit for me, even though that's kind of what I had really groomed myself to be a part of. And there was this point in my life where I kind of started to have this, oh my gosh, who am I? What am I doing? Almost like a spiritual awakening of sorts, or just an awakening. And it was at that point where I decided I was just going to start following the breadcrumbs. And when I say that, I decided to be open to opportunities that came my way that felt good. And so I started doing that, and that led me into the healing space.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So who is your ideal customer?
My ideal customer is a woman that is either already very clear on what they want to do, but they need a little support in moving and actually manifesting that, or somebody that is unclear about what they want, but knows that something just doesn't feel right, and they need support in starting to figure out what that is. And then, of course, eventually moving towards actually manifesting that. So I would say that's where I focus. I do work with some wonderful men that are, just in that same headspace, but people that are very dedicated to their inner growth and aligning with what feels right for them. That is my ideal client.
Wow. So tell people how to get in contact with you, Olivia.
Sure. So my website is calmmindsmatter.com. So there's a number of ways that you can schedule time with me, or just reach out, email and phone number. So my email is olivia@calmmindsmatter.com, and my number is 210-557-6505. You can also find me on Facebook as Calm Minds Matter. And I have a really beautiful community of women, a Facebook group called Galactic Goddesses.
I love it.
A spiritual community for women. So you can find a group there. So that's it for now. But I look forward to hearing from anybody out there that aligns.
Yeah, absolutely. So now give people some words of wisdom. If someone was in a bad way right now, based off of their life is just not going right. It's something wrong. Like you said, it's just, what you want, but you can't get there. Give some words of wisdom for that.
Okay. So a couple of things. One, you're not alone. It's okay to seek support. Definitely a support system is really important. Be kind to yourself. It will pass, but it's definitely important to reach out and be okay with being vulnerable with people that you trust. And also taking a look at what are your beliefs, the belief systems that you have, that you've been taught, that you've learned about yourself and about the world, and which of those, like literally make a list, and which of those beliefs are in support of where you want to go and which ones aren't. And like that's a process that we go through of starting to look at, okay, you know, what is aligning and what's not with, you know, the version of myself that I would like to be.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, Olivia, if there's anything else you want to add about your business, this is the time to do it.
I think just it's in the world that we live in, where there's a lot of noise, it is really important to find time to quiet that noise, right? Because what's outside is going to come inside. So getting out into nature, taking time to sit down and just focus on your breath, focus on, you know, even some music that you're playing that is soft and relaxing, like definitely taking time to relax. This is where we start to hear things that from within, is when we quiet that noise in our head, right? Just even if it's 5 minutes a day, start to do that for yourself. It's really important for your mental and physical health. And also, what are the things that you are listening to, watching? How is that supporting you? Is it fear-based? Is it positive? Just thinking about, like, you are what you eat, you are what you watch, you are what you listen to. So just considering these things as, what are you doing that's in support of feeling good, right? Just being aware of that. Do you need to add more of that in and lessen some of the other stuff?
I love it. Absolutely love it. Olivia, thank you so much for being on the show. I really want to invite you back too for the next season.
I love it.
Yeah, well, I would love to have you, because I mean, this is stuff that we need. People just don't realize it. Like I said, you're so important. You're so important right now. Not that you weren't before, but now it's like the world is more critical. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah.
And so I think what you're doing is just wonderful. I keep doing the good work. Keep it up.
Okay.
And you got me in your corner.
All right. Thanks, Kami.
Okay. Well, guys, let's wrap up another show of SKST Radio, and we will talk to you guys on the rebound. And Olivia, tell everybody goodbye.
Bye.
Uh-oh.